some people may not be familiar with CliftonLarsonAllen, so could you provide some context by describing what the firm does and how many employees and locations you have in and around California that were impacted by the recent biblical levels of precipitation?
Sure, absolutely. So CLA is a professional service firm. We provide clients with integrated services such as wealth advisory, digital, tax, audit, outsourcing, and consulting. Nationwide, we have 8,500 family members that cover approximately 125 locations. Specifically in California, we have 13 locations with 775 people. Now, in the area that was mainly affected, we have 4 offices, probably around 100, 125 people that are in those locations. And that's really where we spent most of the effort and working through the flooding and things that had happened there last March.
So what was your top priority when you learned about the storms and the potential impacts on your facilities and people?
Yeah, our top priority is really to keep our people safe. Obviously we want to keep our facilities safe, but our people are our number one priority. And in really order to do that, our objective is keeping the business running, proactively communicating any type of office closures or areas that we know our people live that are affected. We want to make sure that we can communicate to them so they don't get stuck going to an office that is potentially out of power, might have some water damage, or they're on their way to work and just can't get there because a road is closed.
Now, what were some of the first steps you took to communicate with your people?
Well, one of the things that we did is we want to make sure that people know that they have this application on their phone and they could get a message from us. So, I don't know about you, but you get a message or a text on your phone, you look for who it's from, and if you don't recognize the number, you think one of two things: wrong number, or it was spam. So we want to make sure that when we send a message out, that people know it is from AlertMedia, from CLA, that there is a situation that we want them to stop and pay attention to. So through a series of advanced notifications, making sure that everybody is familiar that this service exists, but then do a pre-notification in advance of the service saying, if you get a message from here, we are monitoring the situation in regards to either the hurricane or in California, the flooding, that you might get a message. And so that's step number one, is to make sure that a pre-message goes out. And that way people are prepared and know that they can expect the service and that we're there to help them, and somebody's keeping an eye on for them from afar that isn't necessarily involved in the situation.
And it seems to me a big part of being successful with a program like this is being able to establish up front and explain to people the why behind it. So generally speaking, how did your people respond to engaging like this? Are they open to it? Was there pushback? How did you address that? How did you explain the why? Maybe talk us through that a little bit.
We began to show the capabilities, what it will be used for, make a promise that we're not going to use it to advertise, for instance, that there are donuts in the break room, that it's really an application that's meant to help be informative to either protect you if you are in an area where something or a crisis may be happening, or if for some reason our systems would be unavailable and we needed to reach you and provide you instructions about how you can get your work done for the day, if we had a system outage for some reason. And so through those communications, both live and in person, we were able to spread the message. By and large, it's been very successful. Most of the time when we send out an alert message that an office is closed, or that there's inclement weather, or something that's impacting the day-to-day, we'll get a message from somebody saying, thanks for sharing, that saved me some time, or I'm safe, which is what we saw a lot when the hurricane happened. And we also saw maybe a dozen messages from the California situation where people said, yeah, thanks for checking on me, I'm safe.
That's fantastic. So generally speaking, since you handled things properly up front, people were aware of it, they understood the why behind it, they knew you weren't going to abuse it. They were actually very appreciative when you engaged with them during that emergency event.
Absolutely. I keep track of the dropouts, those that want to unsubscribe from the service, and ever since we really did the initial rollout, we haven't had anybody decline the service. So I believe we're taking a prudent approach to how we're using the program right now.
Yeah, I think that's key. What you said is so important. You don't want to over notify because people will get notification fatigue and they'll just tune out. So it's kind of a combination of starting up front the right way, knowing how you're going to use it, explaining to people the why behind it, inviting them in, not abusing it when you do get in that situation, and reserving it only for the most important updates, and then people will stay engaged. So that's a fantastic
Right.
story.
Right.